the system of governance here is nothing you've ever imagined in your life. This is not the forum for it, but it's truly weird. Anyway, Bibi, you know Bibi is, right? Okay, Bibi, okay. So he proposed a way to change the voting system to allow for Israelis living abroad to vote, okay? Which is a very sensitive spot here, because if you're not here, you're a traitor, blah, blah, blah. Cry your heart out. Anyway, so why do the political parties now want this, right? Because they're afraid that there's going to be a taxi driver in Los Angeles party that's going to come in the next election and take like 6 seats. You know, I mean, it's really worrisome to those in power, right? You know, and there is Avigdor Lieberman, right? He has a party called Yisrael Beitenu, okay? So he's going to form a new party called American Beitenu, you know, our house in America. And of course, then there are the Haredim, right, who have their own conceptions on who's alive and who's dead. And if you're outside the country in a cemetery, you're not really dead. So they are ready for this because they're going to have thousands that are going to come up and vote, you know, Chicago style, whatever style you want. They're going to vote for their candidate. And then, of course, we have the usual American Idol kind of program here. And now there were, you know, these people abroad going to get to vote. Anyway, but the real reason on why Bibi is pushing this was that he wanted a sop to the Shalit family. I'm sure you all know the sad tale of Gilad Shalit, who is being held against everyone's will in Gaza. And he told his parents that don't worry, by the next election, Gilad Shalit will be able to vote. Okay. One good note on all of that. We had the Knesset speaker. You can imagine his role. He wanted to upgrade the flights for all the politicians, okay? You know, that they presently fly cattle, I guess, and they wanted to upgrade them to business class. So there was a public outcry, and, you know, the whole thing got shut down. But so he came up with two good compromises, right? Either they could pass on the upgrade now and have their jail cell upgraded at a later time, or they could have an upgrade, but it would only be a one-way ticket, right? So, meanwhile, no one's taking him up on any of those offers. And then, of course, there's the defense minister, Barack Obama, who flies first class, and he says, "What, you know, you're going to downgrade me to business? You know, what kind of crap is this?" Anyway, we've had another phenomenon here. The society has become increasingly violent, and there have been a number of threats, real threats against judges. So among the defensive measures, right, is that the judges now, of course, take their gavels home with them as a weapon of self-defense, right? And now when you walk into the courthouse, not only do they ask if you have... Oh, right, this is all predicated. The latest manifestation was that this guy who had to come up with some alimony threw his shoe at the Chief Justice. And he ready for this at a distance of 15 meters. He actually hit her. So he knocked her glasses off, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so now, of course, when you walk into the courthouse, not only do they ask you if you have a weapon, they ask you if you have shoes, you know, just like on the airport. But, of course, the Chief Justice, Dori Banish, said, well, the recent heat wave has been great for us because now, of course, we're only wearing sandals to court, so those don't hurt as much when you get hit. Yeah. And there was a judge whose car was set alight, right, on fire, okay? The civilized thing. He said, don't worry, it was only a Toyota, right? You know what I mean? Toyota's having their own problems, right? You know, they've been, this has been going on for some 5 years. They've been dragging their feet for 5 years, and they haven't solved this brake problem. And they asked them why not, and they said, well, we can't stop the car. You know, in 5 years they've been, you know, it's like, you know, what's their latest advertising campaign, Toyota? Try and stop us. You know, that's how bad it is, and. But whatever, we'll get over that, you know. And then of course they're gonna haul all the Toyota executives in front of Congress, and they're gonna talk about their starting, accelerating, and braking, you know. And then of course the next round, the congressman himself are gonna go up there. Well, how do we start, brake, and accelerate? You know that. Anyway, right, but the Toyota movie that's gonna come out of all of this, Total Recall. You know, that should be what we're all gonna go see. Anyway, here in Israel, we have the cream to the crop. You know, everyone goes into the army, or most people go into the army, right? And for the first time ever, over half of the officers in the Golani, this elite brigade, are religious, okay? So they wear what are called knitted kippot, like I wear. David's a little different. Anyway, right. So they thought in accommodation they're going to let all these guys have what are called knitted berets. You know, it's going to be the first here in Israel. Just stick around for that one. And then, of course, recently the Pope went to visit a religious service in Rome, okay? And it's a very sort of Jewish, Israeli kind of phenomenon. But what happened was he came into the main chapel area and he started getting pelted with these toffee candies, okay? You know, and is this any way to treat, the leader of the world's Catholics? So finally, they asked the Gabbai, the guy who's sort of the main usher, well, what was going on here? So I can explain the joke. So the phenomenon is that in Israel, the secular types have bar mitzvahs in synagogues, and they usually come in wearing these exact same white satin kippot, as they're called, yarmulkes, and so everyone thought it was a bar mitzvah, so they started throwing candies. That's sort of the usual story. But it wasn't. It was just a regular, it was just the Pope, the Pope. Actually, when the Pope came here, he flew Virgin Airlines, right, and they let him take his holy water onto the plane. He was really quite special area, a good time. Anyway, the other news here from the Education Ministry is that they're going to reinstitute a policy that was once here some 30, 40 years ago, that when the teacher comes into the room, the student has to stand up, okay? So everyone sort of mixed reviews. The kids are happy because then they can throw their orange peel that they've been working as a teacher, And the real reason that the police wanted is that when the kids stand up, they can see whether or not they're wobbling, how much they have to drink. And of course, they're not, everyone's, okay, don't worry, you can have your own knife. Your knife doesn't have to be quality of the uniform, okay? But of course the police don't like it, because then when they do the lineup, they can't really tell which of the students has got the knife and which doesn't. But anyway, we had also here a recent attempted infiltration from Gaza, right? They shipped these oil barrels. I don't know if you were here when that happened. Anyway, they have nothing better to do with them, so they fill the oil barrels with explosives from Gaza, and then they sort of make their way up the coast. Hoping they're going to hit some soldiers, some innocents. Anyway, the only amusing aspect was that they promised each one of these barrels 72 little cans that they actually blew themselves up and managed to do some damage. But in the end, nothing happened. It was the usual no-show. A lot of Israelis standing around there gawking. Right, so the hot news of the week, or the growing news, of course, is the Iranian threat here, Ahmadinejad, right? So everyone thinks he's for peace, and of course he's for peace in a way, he's Shalom Israel, goodbye Israel. Yeah, so Bibi was in Russia just now talking to Putin and all the Putinites, I don't know, and telling them, and making a statement, it's sort of a bellicose statement, I'm here in Moscow and we mean business, and if you don't believe me, my wife Sarah's here too, Whatever, she's been strung up lately for her abuse on her helpers. Anyway, so the Iranian